Right. How to add a new key into the existing dictionary? எப்படி பண்ணணும்னா where of country is equal to India. So when you run, the data will get added over there. Okay, this is how new keys are added along with the corresponding values. If you already have a country with some other data, that will be replaced by this particular value. This is how you should add a data back to the dictionary via the key representation. Now the next thing is that values. See, the restriction is only with respect to the keys, that only immutable data can be accommodated. But when it comes to value, you can have any kind of a complex value representation. Look at that. Now what happened? Name is a key which contains a value, but the value is in the form of list. Dhoni, Kohli, Ashwin. Now to do the better manipulation, now somebody tells you that no, I don't want Ashwin. I want Rohit in place of Ashwin. How do you achieve it? First, as usual, where of name. First, go for the key where the values exist. So you know that Dhoni, Kohli, Ashwin, even though they are in the list, all these three data are getting accommodated in a single key called a name. From the given name, what is Ashwin? Ashwin is sitting at the second index of your list. 0th index, first index, second index. So put this two. Now store a data. Look at that. Before it was Ashwin, but later it got replaced to Rohit. Okay. So the values can be as complex as it can be in dictionaries. Now look at that. This is another complex representation. What it is? It is another representation. Now, name is a key that contains a value, and that value is again a dictionary. Look at that. That value can also be another dictionary. So when you run, there you would see. Now, if you want to change Ashwin, what you have to do? As usual, where first go to the parent key, which is a name, then go for the child key, which is surname, then you should go for the index of it. There you see. Okay, so dictionary can come in any complex way. Okay, you cannot expect dictionary to come in a straightforward single line representation. It can be as complex as it can. Okay, have a look on this. Check it out. Others? Okay, super. Let us focus to few more a complex manipulation, which you don't usually see in dictionary. You're right. Now, what you did, you trying to pick up a key, which is a country. You know that there is no such country. In your given dictionary, you have only one key name, and that itself has another nested key, which is of surname. But you don't have any key in the form of a country. So when you try to print a key which doesn't exist, obvious error that is going to throw is a key error. Correct. Look at that. It says more. I'm sorry, country is not at all a key that exists on your dictionary. Straightforward. Now the real challenge that we need to focus here is that so error exists at line number 66. When there is error at the line number 66, obviously there will not be a next execution because Python works in the principle of sequential ways of execution, sequential way of executing the code. When one line is running, the next line will not get executed. Indirectly means if that line that is getting read is having error, and obviously it will not go back to the next line. It's a straightforward statement. Okay, so it will end up in error, so the next line will not get printed. At times, what might happen? Imagine you would have ran a code which is taken 1 hour to execution, and suddenly when it reaches this point, then it will throw error. Then the 1 hour that you taken for the execution will become in vain. So to read a key, you should always use a better method. So Python do supports a better method for avoiding errors like this. So let me store it in output. Okay, output is equal to variable of country and print of output. Now, instead of you getting the keys in the form of the representation, you try to read the key in the form of a method called get. Use the get method to read a key. Where dot get of country. You're trying to read a specific key called country. So when you run, it says none. But the beauty is that now the code is running. Whereas at line number 66, you made a hard syntax where when there is no such key, the code will be terminated as it is. But here, the code is not terminating. Instead, it is returning you the statement called none. None means what? It cannot produce any result. That is what it says, none. Okay. Now it looks so better, right? Now this can be further optimized in a better understanding. How? Instead of you returning a none, you can put like no key. That means you can customize your error message when you run. Look at that. It says no key, but the beauty that needs to be focused here is the code is still running. The code is still running. So this is what one of the methods of a dictionary. Okay. Then what else we seen in dictionary that you cannot use a plus operator. Correct? You cannot use a plus operator to concatenate to dictionary. So what you have to do? You can use a method called update, where dot update of variable one. So what does it mean? In the variable data pool, you are trying to update the variable one data. Means inside your variable, you're trying to add a variable one. So when you run, there you see. Now the data are got merged. But what happening here? You're not merging with a new object. You're merging with any one of the object, either with the variable one in variable or variable in variable one, whatever it is. This is one method. And the same concatenation can also be achieved with another syntax. This you people usually don't see in books. Dictionary, double star of where, double star of where one. When you run, look at that. It got merged. The difference between the one at line number 76 and one of line number 81 is that One stores the data on the available existing object, and the latest one, which I have at line number 81, is trying to store the data into a new object. Okay. So it doesn't mean that you can have only two dictionary. Even if you can have 10 to 15 dictionary, you can still do this. Okay. And another point to be keep in mind is that in dictionary, in dictionary or in Python in general, when you see a double star, that is getting prefixed with the variable. அதாவது ஒரு வேரியபிளுக்கு முன்னாடி டபுள் ஸ்டார் வந்ததுன்னா that we do call it as a dictionary. எங்க வேணாலும் at any point or any place in Python, when you see a double star prefixed with this variable, guys, one second, let me connect with my mobile. It is about to get stuck. Okay, double star means keyword dictionary. Okay, quickly make a note of it. Sorry guys, electricity shut down. And then I just reconnected in my mobile network. Do it. இதை முடிங்க. Then I'll tell you few more things that everybody has to understand in dictionary. Okay, and I'll tell you why dictionary is important here. எதனால வந்து dictionary நம்ம focus பண்ணோன்றதை I'll be telling now. Guys, let me know once you're done.
I'm done, Mohan.
Good. Others? Good, good, good. I think most of you are done. Now, I'll tell you the reason why we should always focus on dictionary on a high scale. See, there is a concept called API, right? Everybody knows. If not, I'll explain you in detail in further classes. But what is API? Accessing a specific application via a URL. ஒரு browserல போயிட்டு ஒரு URL மூலியமா நீங்க access பண்ற எல்லாமே API தான். Interface. For example, what is in Tamil Nadu we know the Tangent Co. What is that? That is the website where we go pay our electricity bills. Correct. So maybe after 1 year, right, they're gonna give us one API. So now what you're doing, you have to log in into this particular tangent page, enter into that, so on, so right. So that is website, web application. Now API means where you hit one specific URL and that is going to give you the accessibility, or that is going to give you the feature of what you're going to do is what API. So website is almost similar to what API. பெருசா ஒண்ணும் இல்லைங்க. ப்ரௌசர் மூலியமா ஆக்சஸ் பண்றது தான் ஏபி, அப்ளிகேஷன் ப்ரோக்ராம் இன்டர்ஃபேஸ். ஒரு அப்ளிகேஷன் ப்ரோக்ராம ஒரு ப்ரௌசர் இன்டர்ஃபேஸ் மூலியமா நம்ம கனெக்ட் பண்றது தான் ஏபிஐஸ். ஓகே, அந்த ஏபிஐ என்ன, வெப்சைட் என்ன, வாட் இஸ் வெப் அப்ளிகேஷன், வாட் இஸ் வெப் சர்வீஸ், we'll be seeing this in a detail, but we'll focus on API now. Okay, so now what is generally API? There are two kind of API. One, you can just consume it, you can just use it. That is one type of API. And there is another API where you give the input and you get back the output. Okay, so now you can see this API in two different ways. One, by developer view. See, I am the developer who's going to develop a API. So what I have to do, I know that I want to give the output back to the consumer who's going to use my API. Similarly, when the consumer want to send some messages to me, that means that when they want to post something. So sometimes Google you get the data directly, you consume. But Facebook you have to give an input. User ID password input it will respond back with the user page. So it's like get and post. Either, I mean, the developer has to produce the result, and whenever there is a necessary that user have to send the input, they can send the input. Now இந்த இன்புட் எப்படி அனுப்புறது, இந்த அவுட்புட் எப்படி நான் வந்து எண்ட் யூசருக்கு ஷோகேஸ் பண்றது அப்படின்னு ஒரு தாட் ப்ராசஸ் இருக்கும் இல்லையா. நான் வந்து இப்போ ஃபார் எக்ஸாம்பிள் நந்தினி வந்து என்கிட்ட கேட்கறாங்க, ஜி எனக்கு இந்த பைதனோட சிலபஸ் தாங்கன்ற. நான் சிலபஸ் எப்படி வேணும் அவங்களுக்கு கொடுக்கலாம், கரெக்டா. ஒரு வேர்ட் டாக்குமெண்ட்ல, ஒரு ஒரு டெக்ஸ்ட் பேட்ல கொடுக்கலாம், ஒரு எக்ஸல்ல கொடுக்கலாம், ஒரு ஒரு ஐ மீன் பிடிஎஃப்ல கொடுக்கலாம். பட் வாட் இஸ் சம்திங் தட் இஸ் வெரி யூஸ்ஃபுல் ஃபார் த எண்ட் யூசர்? அவங்களுக்கு எப்படி வந்து நான் சொன்னா ஈஸியா புரிஞ்சுக்கணும் அப்படின்னு எனக்கு தெரியணும் இல்லையா. ஃபார் எக்ஸாம்பிள் ஒரு நோட் பேட்ல கொடுத்தா அது இது ஒரு கிராப் இருக்காது, நீங்களா கட் பண்ணி ஸ்பேஸ் கொடுத்து அலைன் பண்ணி பார்க்கணும். பட் இதே நான் ஒரு வேர்ட் டாக்குமெண்ட்ல கொடுக்கும்போது மச் பெட்டரா இருக்கும். ஓகே, அதே மாதிரி என்ன ஆகும்னா இன் ஏபிஐ ஆல்சோ we need to be very specific with respect to the data's file, the input file as well as the output file. How I'm going to project output back to the end user, how I'm expecting the end user to give back the input to me. ஹவுன்றது எப்படி சொல்லுவோம்னா, initially they use HTML, they use XML, they use YAML, they use XAML. There are these are called input files, input formatting files. So using these files only they'll send the input. But problem is that when they send the input in the form of these elements like HTML, XML, XAML, YAML, right, it will take a lot of time. Or precisely XML is something that people used way back. ரொம்ப நாளா யூஸ் பண்றது XML தான். But the template that you have to form just to send the data is very high. Unnecessary time consuming task. just to send a two input, you have to form a separate template. Okay, so they decided that no, I should go for something which is very lightweighted, which is very user friendly, which is very easy to send the input. Then they decided, look, why can't I go for a data type called JSON, JavaScript object notation. Okay, it is about to leave, but we'll stop here further away. So JavaScript object notation. இது எப்படி இருக்கும்னா, it is very easy for user to interact as well as for the developer to produce the result. What is JSON? Na? JSON is other form of dictionary. பெருசா ஒண்ணும் இல்லைங்க. If you learn dictionary, ultimately you're going to learn JSON, right? Now, I know that everybody wants to understand 1 DB at least. When you go for a project, when you go for an interview, right? Then definitely they'll ask you that, can you tell me something which is very good at? You can tell that, no, I'm good at MongoDB. So MongoDB is another DB where it is non-relational database. It takes the data in the form of a chunk. How do you send the data? Same like dictionary one. Okay, so that's what I told. When you learn dictionary, ultimately you're learning about the JSON, and indirectly you're learning about the input file format of a dictionary. Okay, your CSV file. Okay, the dictionary, the JSON, more or less everything. What is CSV? A column and a value. What does it indirectly means? A key and a value. Your Excel is also a dictionary. In day-to-day life, you people are using Excel sheets. You people are using CSV files, right? What was that? Dictionary. It has a column and it has a corresponding value. What does it mean? A key and a value. So this is what I told, right? Dictionary has a wide variety of usages. Okay. So JSON is not straightforward dictionary. There should be additional format you have to do it for that. Okay. You need to put a string of that and all. Okay. That variable is equal to, look at that. This is not a dictionary. This is a string. Look at that. When I ran string data. Okay. So you have to send the data via dictionary. Okay. But since I put a single quotes here, it becomes a string. So how do you get the dictionary back from the given string? Okay. How do you get, or how do you shape a proper JSON? How to make a dictionary as a JSON data? How to convert a string of dictionary into a proper dictionary? So these are the things that usually books, YouTube channel don't really, share or support. But as far as we concern, especially with respect to the work that we do in a real-time life, right? Everything becomes API. So when you want to be good at API, you need to be good at this kind of a data manipulation. Okay. So what we can do is that this will be learning in detail. Okay. Dictionary of string of dictionary. It is nothing but a JSON, and which is nothing but an input file for your MongoDB as well. Okay. Now let me give you a few examples. Now this is a string of dictionary, right? Now I want to get that dictionary back. அப்ப நீங்க இந்த single quote எடுத்தா dictionary ஆகாது. It is not easy to take a single quote and you can make that as a dictionary. You need to use a special function to convert a string of dictionary into a dictionary. That function is called JSON. In Python, we do have a library called JSON. So now output is equal to JSON dot loads. I'm going to load this variable and I'm going to print the output, and I'm going to print. Look at that. Initially it was a string, but now it got converted into dictionaries. Okay. Now the opposite. When you have a dictionary, JSON dot dumps. Look at that, dictionary to string. This is how you can do that. Okay. Now the important question is that, Mohan, why we should convert a dictionary to string, or why we should do the opposite? Sometimes when you want to store a data back to the table, data table precisely, you know that imagine take SQL. SQL is a sequential data type. Sometimes the dictionary data that you have will not get directly stored in that. So what you have to do, you have to convert your dictionary as a form of a string and store a data. And when we retrieve the data, output will be in form of string, but you want to do the dictionary manipulation. So you have to do the loads to get the dictionary back. This is one of the use case why we should use these loads and dumps. Okay. On the very next class, maybe on next Saturday, I'll tell you about how do you convert a normal dictionary into a JSON data. A bit of a conversion is needed, which we're going to focus on next Saturday. Just make a note of this and then we'll wind up for the day. So guys, we do have only 2 minutes more in this specific Zoom link. Once you're done, we can wind up for the day. Okay, so if at all there is something that you need to discuss with me with respect to few doubts, right? You please reach out to me at any time. நம்ம குரூப்லயே போடுங்க. If we have a time in the evening, if you have a time in the night times, or maybe tomorrow, every day I'll be free, maybe after 9. If there is anything that you want to discuss, we can do that on a dictionary. Okay, so please share that உங்க ஃப்ரெண்ட்ஸ்ல இருந்தா சொல்லுங்க that we are taking Python. If at all there are new guys who gonna learn Python அப்படின்னா please do let me know. We can set up another batch for them as well. இப்போதைக்கு ரொம்ப நாள் எடுக்கல ஜி. It's been around 6 months. After my surgery, I didn't take any classes. So now I'm free. So if there is anybody who want to learn Python, please do keep me updated. நம்மளோட யூடியூப் ஷேர் பண்ணுங்க. Together we grow.
லேர்னிங்க்கு அந்த ஒரு URL மாதிரி ஷேர்
ஓகே,
பண்ணுங்க.
பின்னாடி அனுப்புறேன் குரூப்ல போட்டு. Okay team, thank you. Pleasure talking and we'll see tomorrow. I mean next Saturday. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Yeah, bye. Bye.